in many different places. I was born and raised in Chicago, and I have lived in other states, many other states. And life brought me to Texas. So my journey to Texas was a little different because I went through a divorce after a 20-year marriage. And I decided that I wanted to do something different with my life. My youngest child had turned 18. She went off to college in Virginia. I came back home and said, okay, Michelle, what do you want to do? Because I have been a mother and I have been a wife and I never been me. And so at that time, I didn't know how to make that decision. I didn't even know how to even start. So I went online one night and I said, let me look up the top 10 cheapest cities to live in the U.S. And Temple, Texas was one of them. So I came to Temple, Texas in September, Labor Day weekend 2015, checked it out. Oh, they had a Walmart, right? They had a Sam's Club, small town, but they had just the necessities that I needed. So I said, okay, I think I can live there. Went back home and started applying for jobs, and the doors began to open. I received the job, came back for the interview, and then the time I was like, okay, I'm sort of iffy. I don't know if this is something I really want to do because I've never been on my own. I've been married. I met my husband. I met him at the age of 17, and we were divorced at age 41. So I didn't know anything else. I didn't know anyone else. And on top of that, he was a pastor. So I was a pastor's wife at the time. So it was a journey. It was a real good and slash challenging. I don't want to say difficult. It was a challenging journey. And so in the meantime, I packed up what I could fit. I got the job, got a place to live. I packed up what I could fit in my Equinox and I drove to Texas. And I've been living in Texas for 10 years. And so just this past year or so, I've been feeling a nudge that it's time for me to tell my story. And I learned that you can't really tell your story really like you need to until you become in a place of healing. Because a lot of times triggers, sometimes we have scars there, and sometimes if you touch it's tender underneath the skin, or you have a scar there and you look at it and it brings back the memories. But I've learned that when you come to a place of healing, those scars are the battle scars. They're there to show that you came through the battle, but you survived it. And so in my book, I talk about a lot about my survival mode, but I try to go to that thriving mode because it's not life is just not meant for us to just to survive. Life is meant for us to thrive. Because I'm a spiritual person, so I'm gonna talk spiritual. So the Bible tells us in John 10:10, he says, God says, the thief coming not to but to steal, kill, and destroy. He said, but I come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. So in that, Patrice, it's like people think we have to die and go to heaven to have that abundant life. But God was talking about He wants us to have abundant life right here on earth, right? And sometimes people think, oh, I'm suffering in my marriage and I'm going through this and I'm going through that. But God intended for us to have abundant life. And it's up to us. It's up